Have you ever wondered what it would be like if Einstein, Steve Jobs, and your child's brain had a party? Welcome to the Neuroquirky Nexus, where we celebrate the extraordinary minds of our neurodiverse children. Welcome to you amazing parents and caregivers to this podcast. Here we are going to navigate the colorful world of neurodiversity, and we're going to explore holistic, out-of-the-box solutions for children and teens with ADHD, stress, anxiety, and other neuroquirks. Each week we'll dive into practical, brain-based techniques and quirky strategies to help your child thrive. I'm Lori Bloyer, a former veteran teacher turned holistic neurogrowth, learning, and life success coach. As a parent of a neurodiverse child myself, I've spent the last 20 years researching, experimenting, and developing unconventional approaches to support these unique minds. I myself have ADHD diagnosed later in life, and thank goodness, now I understand some of my neuroquirks, and I am going to give you, from my years of teaching in the classroom, my son and myself, several tips, tricks, strategies to help you and your child thrive and create peace at home and joy in your life. So, are you ready? Let's get quirky. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Neuroquirky Nexus. In this episode, we're going to dive into how parents can effectively advocate for their ADHD child at school, IEP meetings, and with family, also out in public, without unnecessary conflict. I'm going to give you some tips for that. Advocacy isn't about arguing or demanding. It's about educating, collaborating, and ensuring your child gets the support they need while maintaining positive relationships with teachers, family, and even strangers. So let's break this down into real-life strategies you can use today. But first, as always, keep it quirky. Let's get started. All right, let's start with reframing the role of an advocate. Many parents feel overwhelmed when it comes to advocating for their child, either because they don't know where to start or they're afraid of being labeled that parent. But advocacy doesn't have to be confrontational, right? It's about building partnerships instead of pushing demands. It's about educating rather than arguing. It's about asking the right questions instead of feeling helpless. What a shift that is, isn't it? So really, I want you guys to take the mindset shifts for effective advocacy, from combat to collaboration. Think of yourself as a bridge between your child and the people in their life, rather than someone constantly battling against others. Think of yourself as shifting from fixing to supporting. Your child isn't broken. We've talked about that so many times. They just need different tools. When we advocate, we're not trying to fix them. We're helping the world understand them better. And I want you to shift from frustration to patience. Take a deep breath, and you can do this. Change takes time. The first conversation might not go perfectly, but persistence, deep breathing, and a calm approach can make a huge difference. So, advocating in the classroom. Let's start with that one as our next strategy. So, talking to teachers. The challenges that parents face is they feel like teachers may see ADHD behaviors as defiance, laziness, or lack of discipline. Parents often feel like their concerns are brushed off or they're not taken seriously. Schools sometimes focus more on compliance than on truly supporting learning differences. So here's how to approach teachers. Start with strengths. Always begin by highlighting what your child does well. This builds goodwill and frames the conversation positively. An example of this could be, Mrs. Carter, I really appreciate how you make learning engaging. Jack thrives when he's given hands-on activities because he's such a creative thinker. We've noticed he struggles with sitting still for long periods. Can we explore some ways to help him stay engaged in class? It will help you and it will help him, right? Because the teachers really want a calm, organized classroom as well. So if the strategy will help them, it's a win for everyone. So try to use that we language instead of saying, you need to do XYZ. Try, how can we work together to find strategies that help both the classroom and my child? Reframe ADHD as a learning style, not as a disorder. So for example, you could say, the way ADHD brains work is similar to how some kids learn best visually while others learn through movement. If we change the learning environment slightly, he can thrive. So you will have to have a relationship with your teacher before you talk this way, or your child's teacher, but to really think of it as helping the teacher, because sometimes they don't know all about ADHD. I know I didn't know it until I dove deep into learning about ADHD and teaching myself. So some teachers just don't know the ins and outs, and especially you know your child very well. So advocating for the ins and outs of ADHD, how it's showing up with your child, is so important. And I want you to offer solutions, not just problems, right? Everyone knows this from their work, probably, that their boss always wants a solution, not a problem. So come prepared with simple accommodations that don't disrupt the class, right? So you could suggest perhaps flexible seating, fidget tools, movement breaks, visual schedules, shorter assignments with the same learning objectives. All of those things are great suggestions. Of course, you want the teacher to not feel like you're overstepping them, right? But maybe just giving helpful suggestions for what works at home, or maybe even what worked with a previous teacher last year. So giving suggestions creates a great relationship, and definitely making sure you have connection with that teacher as well. But you might get teacher pushback. A teacher might dismiss your concerns. Try to stay calm and rephrase. Try to help educate them. Try to work with them on what they need in their classroom. So you could say things like, I understand your challenges in managing a whole class with so many different behaviors. But what if you just tried one thing for a week or two? Just give it a try, a trial, and we could check back in. I don't think anyone has a problem with a week or two trial. And again, the teacher may really see benefits in their classroom as far as calm and peace. So it's worth trying. They could say, other kids will want the same treatment. And of course, they should know, and you could remind them that fairness isn't always about giving every child the same thing. It's about giving each child what they need to succeed. And I always would tell my students this when they would ask about that. I say, well, I have to wear glasses. Not all of you have to wear glasses, but this is what I need to succeed. So that's some of the pushback you might get. All right, so number 3, strategy 3, navigating IEP and 504 meetings with confidence. Those meetings can be tiring and long and confusing with a lot of jargon. So I'm not going to go into depth of those. If you would like me to, I can talk more about that. But for now, I just want to give a high level strategies of what you can do. Sometimes though, you walk in and you feel like you're just in a room full of experts who don't fully see your child for all of their unique and wonderful and amazing qualities. And you might get overwhelmed, again, like I said, with all of that jargon and technical terms that get thrown out, usually quickly because these meetings last quite a while. And you might walk away without really getting the accommodations that you think your child really needs. So What can you do? Know your rights. Sometimes parents don't realize that they have the power to request specific accommodations. Research the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act and Section 504 rights. Document everything. Keep track of emails, report cards, teacher comments that support your case. Make a list of must-have accommodations. Instead of just saying he struggles in class, be specific. Like he needs movement breaks every 20 minutes. Or he really could benefit from written instructions that help him process tasks better. These might come from previous teachers, like I said earlier, from report card comments, from other diagnosticians, from coaches like myself. So some of these strategies that work, you can bring to this meeting and you can have a discussion about them. So when you're in the meeting, try to take your deep breath, present your child's strategy, stay calm and professional. Your tone really matters. And your interest in your child really matters. I've been to so many IEP meetings where parents just kind of nod and say, okay, to everything that's being said, and they don't ask questions. So ask. Yes, it makes the meeting longer, but this is your child, so it's important. Use data if you have it to support your requests. If your child's teacher says they're fine, you could counter with some examples or from home or from past teachers or test results. So use data if possible. Ask for evidence. If the school denies an accommodation, you can ask, well, can you show me the data supporting that my child doesn't need this accommodation? Right? Ask for evidence. Or why did they choose an accommodation? What was the evidence behind that? After the meeting, follow up in writing. You can summarize the meeting in an email. They will give you a copy of the IEP, but you really just want to follow up also with the teacher, like, okay, these accommodations we talked about, 20 hours a week of doing ABC or XYZ. Who is going to do them? Is it going to be the teacher or someone brought in? How is it going to get done? What time of day? What does the teacher foresee as a solution to meeting these accommodations? Super important, because it's really left to the teacher usually to do those accommodations, but following up with them, or even better yet, working with them on implementing those accommodations would be super helpful for everyone. Again, we want everyone to win in this, everyone to win. This is not parents against teachers by any means. It's a win for everyone. So whatever strategy we can do to get there is a blessing, right? For everyone. Whatever strategy we can do to get there is a blessing for everyone, I believe. All right, let's talk about strategy number 4, handling family and social situations without conflict. So we're going to step out of the school for a minute and go to our family and social situations, which I did talk a bit about during our holiday episodes, how to work with family if you're visiting them or going to parties or whatnot. Some common challenges that family can have is that ADHD is just an excuse for bad behavior, or he needs more discipline, or we've never had ADHD when we were kids, right? Some of these things you might hear. I've certainly heard them over the years. And how can you work with that? Breathe, always breathe, and stay neutral and educate. So you could say, instead of arguing, you could share a simple fact. Actually, ADHD affects executive function, making impulse control and focus difficult. It's not about effort. It's about brain chemistry. Their brains are wired differently. So we have to approach them differently. You could use analogies to make it relatable. Analogies are fun. Telling my child to just focus is like telling a nearsighted person to just see better without glasses. Can you imagine that? I love analogies, so if you would like some more, let me know. Set boundaries. If a relative refuses to listen, you could say, I understand you have different perspective, but we found this approach works best for our family. So thanks, but let me try what works for my family. Something like that. Okay, how about encouraging strategy number 5? How about encouraging your child to self-advocate? Very important, especially for our older kids. As they become teens, we really need them to self-advocate, right? To really start to get ready for the real world. So why is it so important for a child to self-advocate? Won't you be there with them the whole time? When kids can explain their needs, they feel empowered, and it reduces stress in school and in social settings, and it sets them up for success in the workplace and in their future as they start to leave the home. So how can you help teach this as a parent? Well, number 1, if anything, model it. Let your child hear you advocating for them in meetings and with family, or even advocating for yourself, right? As our last episode was all about, advocate for yourself for your own wellness time, right? That you need a bath, you need to step away, you need to take a breath. Practice simple scripts. Give them phrases to use with teachers and friends. I need to move while I learn. It helps me focus. Could be one simple script. How about, I work best when I get instructions one step at a time. Can you slow down and give me just one step at a time? Things like that to help them focus. Or highlight their strengths. Remind them that ADHD comes with unique advantages like creativity and out-of-the-box thinking and resilience. And also, so many famous and successful people have had ADHD. It's just a matter of finding the key to unlocking their particular form of ADHD. And they will thrive. So that long line of successes. All right. This has been a lot, I know, but it had to be said again. Probably has to be said many times. But advocating and speaking out for your child and teaching them the skills is so important for them now and in the future. And really, we're trying to make our children as successful as we possibly can in the future. Okay, let's wrap this up with some closing thoughts. How can we summarize all of this in one closing thought? I want you to really understand that advocating for your child doesn't mean fighting everyone. It means guiding people. So not fighting, guiding people to understand your child's unique strengths and challenges. So share your advocacy wins with us. We'd love to hear them. You can also let me know if you'd like me to make an IEP 504 advocacy checklist. Would that help you? And if you need support, I'm always here. Please book a session with me. I'd love to talk to you if you would like that. So I just want to wrap up and say thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Neuroquirky Nexus. And I really hope those strategies were helpful. If you would like more information about anything I talked about in this episode, please drop me an email. As always, I would love if you could share this podcast to help more families. That's my mission, is really to help families who need support and guidance and help. That's why I am here doing what I do. So I would love for you to share and pass this along so that we can reach more and more people. Our downloads are getting up there, so it's nice to see people listening. And the more we share, the more help we can give those families in need that are really struggling. And any reviews you want to write also would be lovely. I believe that helps the algorithm, so I would love to hear from you as well. Okay, so until next week, as always, keep it quirky. Thank you for listening to Quirky Nexus. We are so glad you took the time to join us today. I know time is precious, and we are so glad you're here. I hope you got a lot out of this episode. Please don't forget to post your activity using hashtag NeuroNexus. That's NeuroNexus. And of course, all links are in the show notes. And I just really hope you enjoyed it. So if you did, please like and subscribe and share this with a friend. I think this is really good for families that are new to being their child being diagnosed with ADHD. And I believe that the tips and tricks and resources I'll be sharing will be very helpful for all families, but especially new families. And finally, I am creating a workshop coming up to help families with ADHD finding and using a holistic, natural approach in support of a book chapter that I'm writing and articles and magazines that are coming out. But my workshop, I'm so excited about because I can work with you all one on one. If you have any suggestions, I'd love to hear from you. Thank you again. And remember, let's keep it quirky. See you next time.